All right, in this lesson, we're going to wrap up the spine pretty much in its entirety. So the rotations will be in, the stretch values will be in, which will make this a great tool for us to import into our scene that is at a much different scale than what we have currently set. So with that, let's get started. All right, so if we open up our scene here, we can see that our helper locators down here have now been parented to their respective joints. This way we'll be able to test everything out. Now, what I want you to pay careful attention to is the way this joint here will act as we rotate this. This is not going to work as we had expected. The reason, though, why we set this up is just so that we could demonstrate the how and why we've put that extra locator there. So if we see this rotation, we can see that this joint does have rotational value added onto it. The rotational value, though, is just to keep it oriented in its original orientation as everything around it changes. This is going to be useful for us, but not in this current position. So we can see from the bottom, it really doesn't matter at all. What we want is we want to make an absolute kill switch so that none of the information from the rotation and reverse rotation will influence our top joint here, which will end up controlling our shoulders. And to do that, we will need a kill switch. So as we look on and we do this rotation, you could see where it deadens. So the easiest way to remedy this situation and give us a kill switch is actually to destroy this IK, break the rotational connections here, and add the IK in only on our last joint. We're now going to group what is going to be our spinal pull vector. So let's call this spine PV group. We'll move it over, rename this spine PV, and move it out. Then, of course, we'll turn it into a pull vector. So now we're going to grab our control rotate. So we're going to grab, let's get our connection editor open. So we're only going to want its rotate X into our PV group Z, and then we're going to want to get all of our rotations into the joint underneath. So let's test out how all this works now. Well, most everything is working. So it's actually rotate Z to rotate Z. This is why we always test. So let's reload. There, now we can see everything moving perfectly up and down our axes. Now the last thing we're going to do is go into our attribute editor for our IK handle. We could set this directly to linear. We have choices as to how we want to set this. For me, I like it set to linear because it seems to be a more direct control. And you can see how it goes further up the spine. So there. So all this has properly been set up. We could come to our top joint here, zero it out, this IK handle here. We'll point snap it, and then we'll parent it. We'll grab our spine PV group. We'll lock it down. And then what we'll do, since we have the rotation here all set, that's really the only one that's going to matter, we could just point constrain it to this position here on our first joint. So let me hit Control Z so I could get this working. So I could find our joint. So I just walked up, hit the spine PV group, constrain, point, this IK here, we're just going to parent. In fact, let's just do it this way. Zero it out, and now everything moves right on top of each other perfectly. You can't even see that there's two spines here. Let's check our rotations. Everything is working the way it should. So for right now, we'll just leave these locator helpers. Group up our locators for stretching, so we'll just call this stretch locator group. Our other spine is set, spine curve base. This IK handle and poly spine, so this is the spine IK. These joints make the rotate bound group. Let's put them in with our group 9. Now, our spinal column, the way it's set up now, we will have to, when we put it into the scene, go through and redo some of our setup. So we're probably going to end up going in one more time, putting a couple of corrective pieces in so that it's easier for import and export for any time we have a quadruped character. So we have our spinal group. We have both of them in here. This one we'll just call fake spine, just to make everything easier. All right, so we're pretty much set with this. Everything is working in a fashion that we like. We'll just call this spinal column group. Put everything all at once. Now, this is just not going to automatically scale up properly for us. We're going to have to go in more individually to set this up, but that's easily done. So with that, we're all set with the spine. We could show everything. And empty out our layers. We optimize our scene, get rid of our layers, our poly spine here, we just turn the visibility off, our IK spine, there's never really going to be a reason to see it, so let's turn that off also. And there, we're pretty much set. Our stretch locator group. So spine group or spine joint groups. Okay, so we have everything as organized as we actually need it right now. So we can continue on, and let's start with the tail. So we'll add a couple more joints and I'll show you exactly how that works. And we'll really be roughly 75% complete with our entire setup. Because what we're doing is a tool-based approach to modularize the process so that we can basically make a tool once or twice and import it and export it so that it's easier to use in a production, especially when you're freelancing. All right, so with that, save your work, and I'll catch you in the next video.